Welcome back. Welcome back to another series of the treasures of Mishnayot. We are continuing Masechet Berachot in Perek Aleph, Mishnah Aleph. This will be part 4 of the Shi'ur. I am hoping to finish the Mishnah today. Let's just start from the beginning one more time, and then we'll start continuing from where we left off. From when does one recite the Shema in the evening? From the time the Kohanim enter to eat their truma. Until the end of the first wash. These are the words of Rabbi Elazar. And the Chachamim say until midnight. Rambam Gamliel said until the pillar of dawn rises. There was a story with the children of Rabban Gamliel that they came home from a wedding feast. They said to him, we did not recite the Shema. He said back to them, if the pillar of dawn did not rise, you are obligated to recite the Kriya Shema. All this we did from part 1, 2, and 3. Today we're starting part 4. I will be doing it directly from the Kahati, so this way if anybody's following, you can follow inside. And not only this, Rabban Gamliel Hosiv ve'amar lebanav. This statement, Velozu Bilvad, is coming from Rabban Gamliel, and he's adding it, and he's telling the children. Not only this did the Chachamim say, Lo bikri shema bilvad sovrim Chachamim shizmana kol halayla. Not only when it comes to reciting the Shema, that the Chachamim hold that the time is the whole night, like we saw in part 3, because the Chachamim really hold like Rabban Gamliel. Even though they said at Chatzot, nevertheless, it's not only in the halachot of reciting Shema the whole night, even though they say at Chatzot. Rather, what? Eila. Rather, any time when the Chachamim say until midnight, mitzvatan ad she'alam shachar. The mitzvah is until dawn. Okay, guys, mitzvatan ad she'alam shachar literally means until the pillar of dawn rises, but we'll say until dawn just to make it more clear. But rather, anytime the Chachamim tell you it's until midnight, mitzvatan ad she'alam shachar. The mitzvah is until dawn. So comes the Kahati and he explains, Kol davar shamru bo chachamim sheyesh la'asoto ad chatzot. Anytime the Chachamim tell you that you have the mitzvah, you have to do the mitzvah until midnight. But what happens if you didn't do it until midnight? Mitzvah od la'asoto ad sov halayla. You still have time to do it until the end of the night, which is until dawn. Now, the Mishnah is going to bring you a few examples of what he just said, because remember, comes Rabban Gamliel and he's telling the children, he's saying, not only do the Chachamim hold like me by Krishma that you have the whole night, even though they say until Chatzot, nevertheless they hold like me, you have the whole night. And then he says, not only in this mitzvah do you have the whole night, but plus in any time when the Chachamim say until midnight, you really have till the whole night. So now he's going to bring us a few examples to prove that point. Continues the Mishnah, Hekter chalavim ve'evarim, the burning of the fats and the limbs. Excuse me. Apologies, Rabota, 1 second. Hekter halam ve'evarim. When it comes to the burning of the fats and the limbs, shel hakarbanot. We're speaking about sacrifices. When you're using fats and limbs of sacrifices, mitzvatan ad she'alam shachar. Their mitzvah of burning the fats and the limbs of sacrifices, their mitzvah is until dawn. Hachalavim v'ha'ivarim shel hakarbanot. So let me just tell you outside first. So now what is the Kahati going to show us now? He's going to explain to us, I'm very happy that you told me that you're allowed to go ahead and burn the fats and the limbs of the sacrifices until dawn. But which type of sacrifice? So he explains, Hachalavim v'ha'ivarim shel hakarbanot shenizrak damam biyom. We're dealing with fats and limbs of sacrifices where their blood was thrown or sprinkled during the day on the altar. Mitzvatan la'alotam ala mizbeach be'otu yom. the mitzvah to bring these fats and limbs where those sacrifices, their blood was already sprinkled during the day, the mitzvah to bring them on top of the mizbeach is on that day. Ve'av b'layla shalacharav, even the night after the day. Ad alot amud hashachar, until dawn. Now, if you guys just paid attention, what happened was, he says you're allowed to bring it right that day, and then he said even the night after that day. So it's very important to know that our day starts at night. Vahi'er vahiboker yom echad. So that's what he says, the night after the day, because that day, already finished, that day belongs to the previous night. Okay? Continues the Kahat and he says, מכל עולה הקטירו כל האיברים ומשאר הקרבנות לא הקטירו אל החלבים המפורשים בפרשת ויקרא. When he says from the korban olah, there was a korban which is called korban olah, a burnt offering. Why is this korban called olah? Olah literally from the word ol, to go up. So meaning to say over here that the korban olah had to get consumed by the fire completely. Now that does not mean to say that they would go ahead and they would put the animal on the altar and then they would burn it. That's not what we're saying, because they would also cut up the animal and certain parts would go on the altar, and then the limbs, the legs, the feet would be burnt separately. So that's what he's telling you over here. When it says over here that you're allowed to go ahead and burn the fats and the limbs the whole night, make no mistake. When it comes to the fats, we're only dealing with korbanot, with sacrifices where their blood was thrown that day on the altar or sprinkled that day on the altar. Those fats you're allowed to use from those sacrifices. But when it comes to the limbs, like the legs and the hands of the animal, you are only allowed to do it until dawn. From which type of korban? Only korban olah, because that thing has to be consumed by the fire completely. That's what he says, Mi korban olah hiktiru kol ha'ivarim. When it comes to the korban olah, they sacrificed all the limbs. Umishara karbanot lo hiktiru. But other karbanot, which are not korban olah, they did not sacrifice the limbs. Only the fats which are explained in the parsha, in the Sefer Vayikra. Only those fats they were allowed to go ahead and bring up, but everything else, Rabotai, they did not bring up. Now, just to make a small note or a comment over here, what's going on? How's that possible that when it comes to offering the limbs, so we say by the korban olah you bring all the limbs and it has to be consumed by the fire, but by everything else you're not allowed to bring it up the whole night? What do you mean you're not allowed to bring it up the whole night? So the real problem over here is, because you have to understand, korban olah, like we explained before, it has to be completely consumed by fire, and that belongs to Hashem. That's why it's called a burnt offering. It has to be completely burnt. But we have other types of offering. We have korban chatat, a sin offering. We have korban asham, a guilty offering. We have korban todah, a thanksgiving offering. We have korban kivsei ateret, you have to bring 2 lambs on Shavuot. You have korban mincha, a meal offering, meaning it's based from flour. So you do have other korbanot, but what is the secret over there? Very simple. Over there, like say by korban todah or korban chatat, by a thanksgiving offering or by a sin offering, there's a very big difference. When the owner of the animal brings it, the limbs will go to him, and also the limbs will go to the kohanim. That's why you were not allowed to go ahead and burn it till the whole night, because how are you going to burn it the whole night when it was given to the owners and the kohanim? But when it came to the korban olah, nobody got it, not the owners, nobody, no kohanim, nothing. It was completely for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why he's telling you over here that the korban olah, only that animal, you were allowed to sacrifice all the limbs and not any other korban. Okay. What happens if they did not bring it until dawn? Nifsalin belina, they become disqualified by being left over. Shenema, like it says in the pasuk in Shemot in Perek Lamedal pasuk Chavei, that's chapter 34, verse 25. You're not allowed to leave until the morning the sacrifice of the korban Pesach. Now I just want to explain to you one thing. If you look into Masechet Berachot, which we did start also doing Baruch Hashem, which is called Gemor Journey with Rashi, over there we start speaking about this whole concept, and Rashi brings down over there, when do we say that the fats and the limbs, they become disqualified, that you are no longer allowed to go ahead and bring it on the altar if it went after the dawn? When is that? That is specifically if they were by the side of the Mizbeach. But if they were on top of the Mizbeach, they do not become disqualified. So let me explain. You have to remember that a lot of korbanot that were slaughtered daily. So let's say they would prepare the fats, they would prepare the limbs of the korban olah. So they would put it by the side before they would go ahead and they have to bring it on top. The ones that were able to go on top, but they didn't fully get consumed yet by the fire, that according to Rashi only, that type of fat and limb does not get disqualified. But these ones that you wanted to bring up, is just you didn't get a chance because it was too much or whatever the situation might have been, that we're going to tell you specifically becomes disqualified. But the ones that you brought on the altar does not become disqualified. Also a very important point, that when we're dealing with the fats and the limbs, also we'll see when it comes to eating the kodshim, the consecrated meat, meaning consecrated animals, we'll see that there is a very big problem by leaving it until after dawn. So you have to make sure that it gets consumed by the consecrated meat. It has to be eaten before dawn. Actually, we'll see it's actually even before midnight, but the mitzvah we'll see is even up until dawn. And also by the fats and the limbs, it's not even up to chatzot. You have actually the whole night, and they're going to speak about this. So why do we have to bring it in? We'll see right now. Okay. So he says like this. From here we learn, for all burning of the fats and the limbs, we learn from this pasuk that you're not allowed to go ahead and leave it till the morning. I just want to see something. One second. I think this is going on the korban. This is going on the korban todah. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, correct. This whole concept that you're not allowed to leave it till the morning, from where do we learn it out? We learn it from the Korban Todah. It was only said by the Thanksgiving offering that you're not allowed to leave its meat after dawn. And we apply this rule to everything, to fats and limbs and other korbanot. Okay. Continues the Mishnah. And everything that's allowed to be eaten in one day, koloimar, kol korbanot hanechalim biyom shechitatam, all the korbanot that are allowed to be eaten on the day of their slaughter, ubelayla shela'acharav, and also the night after the day, like we explained, kigon todah, for example, a Thanksgiving offering, chatat, for example, a korban chatat, a sin offering, v'asham, a guilty offering, mitzvatan lochlam, the mitzvah to eat all these korbanot, korban todah, korban chatat, korban masham, the mitzvah is to eat them ad she'aleh amud hashachar. You have the mitzvah to really eat them until dawn. Sheken katuv bi korban todah, or he says right over here, beautiful, because it's written in korban, by the korban todah, in Vayikra, in Perek Zayin, pasuk tetvav, that's chapter 7, verse 15. Lo yanich mimenu ad boker. By korban todah, it's written, do not leave the consecrated meat until after dawn. From one korban todah, we learn out for all the other korbanot. Okay, I just want to see something. 1 second, this is nice. 1 second. Something just brought my attention. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. So I want to put it like this, Rabotai. We have in Parsha Shemot, in Perek Lamedalet Chav Hei, over there it says, V'lo yalin laboker zevach chag Pesach. You shouldn't leave till the morning the korban Pesach. From there we learn out you're not allowed to leave the fat and the limbs until after dawn. But from the Parsha of Vayikra in Perek Zayin Pasuk Tetvav, from there we learn out on the consecrated meat. Okay. Imken, if so, So now the Mishnah is asking a question. If so, shekol davar shemitzvato belayla kosher kol halayla. If every shekol davar shemitzvato, that right, if every single thing that you're going to do, that the mitzvah is the whole night, and so therefore you're allowed to do the whole night. Lama amru chachamim ad chatzot. So why did the chachamim have to tell me until midnight? B'kriyat Shema u'b'kirbonot hanechlim l'yom echad. Okay, Rabotai, let me just try to elaborate on this a little bit. We have to understand right now that there's three cases that the Mishnah brings to try to go ahead and prove that when the chachamim tell us ad chatzot mitzvatan ad shalem udashachar, the mitzvah is until dawn, the Mishnah went to bring us three proofs. What were they? The first proof was hekter chalam ve'evarim, the burning of the fats and the limbs. The second proof was v'chol hanechalim liyom echad, everything that's allowed to be eaten in one day, meaning the day and the night, you're allowed to even eat the whole night until dawn. Fine. And the third one was, which was prior to that in the Mishnah, which is Kriyat Shema. Even though the Chachamim tell you ad chatzot, we see that they hold like Ram Gamil, you're allowed to do it all the way until Amud HaShachar. So now you have to understand, these three cases are coming to teach me that really you're allowed to do it until dawn. If I'm allowed to do it until dawn, why did the Chacham have to tell me up until midnight? Comes the Kahati and he says, when the Chachamim told you up until midnight, do you know which cases they were referring to? 2 out of 3, but not all 3. Kriya Shema, reciting the Shema in the evening, and eating the consecrated meat. That's the only 2 cases that the Chachamim were speaking about until Chatzot. That's when we want you to do it. But if you didn't do it, you have until Amud HaShachar. Those were the only 2 cases. Also, you're going to ask me so where's the third case? What about the burning of the fats and the limbs? If they never even had a question on that, because they never even spoke about that you could literally go ahead and burn until dawn. So why did you bring it as a proof? Because we want to see proofs where the Chachamim said until midnight, and then it prolongs until dawn. But the burning of the fats and the limbs, you don't have that issue. They don't say that you have to burn it until midnight. No, they say directly, you could burn it all the way up until dawn. So why did you bring it? So Rabotai, one more time. If so, if so that everything that when a person has to go ahead and do the mitzvah at night, you're going to tell me it's kosher the whole night. Why did the Chacham have to tell me until Chatzot, where b'kriyat Shema u'b'kirbonot hanechlim l'yom echad, by korbanot which are eaten in one day, only by those 2. However, he says amnam be'inyan hekter chalam ve'evarim, but when it comes to the concept of burning the fats and the limbs, lo amru chachamim klal ad chatzot. The Chachamim never spoke about until midnight for that case. So if they never spoke if they never mentioned that you have to do it until chatzot, so why was it brought over here? So he says, v'lo huva inyan ze b'mishnatenu ela lashmiya. The whole reason why it was brought here in the Mishnah is to come to let you hear shekol davar hanoheg balayla kosher kol halayla, that anything that you're allowed to go ahead and do at night, it's really kosher the whole night. Kach meirim Rashi uBartanura. This is the way that Rashi and Bartanura want to go ahead and make this remark, that when it comes to the burning of the fats and the limbs, they wanted to teach you another halacha, by the way. You're right, until Chatzot you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it until midnight. So why did you bring it? I wanted to teach you something else, that whenever you have a mitzvah to be done during the night, you're allowed to do it the whole night. That is the opinion of Rashi and Rabbi Vladimir Bartanura. Aval, however, he says, Lefi Rambam, according to Rambam, Av behekter chalam vevarim sovrim hachamim ad chatzot. But according to the Rambam, he says, even by the burning of the fats and the limbs, the Chachamim do hold until Chatzot. So that's why it makes sense why they had to bring it over here. Because we're trying to bring you proofs that were until Chatzot, and then we pushed it off until Amud HaShachar. We give you more time. So according to Rambam, it fits like that. According to Rashi Burtanur, it fits in a different way, because they wanted to teach another halacha. But comes the Kahati and he says, ונתחכים המפרשים למצוא מקור לדבריו. He says, look into Tosfot Yom Tov. He says, a lot of Mefarshim, they went out of the way to try to find a source for the words of the Rambam. Where did he get this halacha from, that even by Hektechalam Vivarim, we want you to do it until midnight, and if you didn't do it, then you have all the way until dawn. Some hold that the source for Rambam's words is in Masechet Zevachim, Perek Tet, Mishnah Vav. That's chapter 9, Mishnah 6. He says this is brought down in the name of Shnot Eliyahu, also Malechet Shlomo. Nevertheless, Rabotai, now we have to go back to our original question. Mikol Makom, nevertheless, Lama Amru Chachamim Ad Chatzot. Why did the Chachamim tell us until midnight? Regarding the matter what we mentioned above, meaning if really the whole mitzvah, that anytime the Chachamim tell you you're allowed to go ahead and do a mitzvah, and if I'm allowed to do it at night, then I'm allowed to do it until the morning, meaning until dawn. So why did the Chachamim have to tell me until midnight by Shema only, and by eating consecrated meat? Why did they have to tell me until midnight? Comes the Mishnah and answers, Kidei, in order, laharchik et adam min ha'avera, to distance a person from sin. She's darez adam bikiyum mitzvah. Because Hachamim, the reason why they went ahead and they said that you have to do it until midnight, even though it's kosher, you're allowed to do it the whole night, because they wanted to hasten the person. They wanted the person to be diligent when it comes to fulfilling the mitzvah of Shema. But don't push it up until the end of time. Shema yishkach v'lo yasen. Maybe you're going to forget and you're not going to do it. Or Shema yasen el-achaz mana. Maybe you're going to do it, but after the time, after Amud HaShachar. Kigon, he says, for example, he says, ba'achilat kochim, when it comes to consecrated meat, v'nimtza bo l'da'avera she'on shukaret. If a person is going to say, I have time to eat the consecrated meat, I have time to eat the consecrated meat, he's going to push it, and then before he knows it, now when he's eating it, it's already after dawn. The punishment is karet. He gets cut off. That's why the Chacham were very, very scared. In the Baraita, it was taught in the Baraita, Chachamim asu sayag ledivrehem. The Chachamim, they made a fence to their words. She'amru b'kriyat Shema ad chatzot, because this that they said by Kriyat Shema, you have to do it until midnight. Why? Kedei shelo yeh adam ba min hasadeh ba'erev, because we don't want a person to come from the field in the evening. Ve'omer, and he's going to say like this, meaning from work, elech lebiti, I'll go home. Ve'ochel kima, I'll eat a little. Ve'eshte kima, I'll drink a little. Ve'ishan kima, I'll sleep a little. Ve'achar kach ekre Kriyat Shema ve'itpalel. And afterwards, I'm going to recite Kriyat Shema, and only then am I going to go ahead and daven. V'chotfoto sheina, and then what's going to happen? Sleep is going to grab him. V'nimtza yashen kol halayla. It came out that he was sleeping the whole night, and now when he wakes up, he missed the mitzvah of Zman, he missed the mitzvah of Kriyat Shema of the evening. So that's what Rabotai Chachamim told you. Do it, you have only until Chatzot, because we want to hasten you, so you shouldn't play games, because sometimes when a person says, I'll do it, what ends up happening? You never get a chance to come around it. Aval, however, he says, Adam ba min hasadeh ba'erev. But what happens if a person came from the field in the evening, meaning from work, nichnas lebeit haKnesset, he enters straight into the Beit Knesset. Im ragil likrot, if he's accustomed to reading Chumash, Koreh, let him read Chumash. Ve'im ragil lishnot, if he's accustomed to do Mishnah, Shoneh, let him learn Mishnah. Ve'koreh Kriyat Shema u'mitpalel, let him recite the Kriyat Shema, and let him go ahead and daven. Ve'ochel pito u'mivarech, let him go ahead and eat his bread, and then let him bless. This, B'lined Rabotai, if you are following the Masechet Berachot Shur, where the Gemara journey with Rashi, we'll see that Bezrat Hashem B'lined Masechet Berachot in Daf Daled Amud Bedes, page 4, side 2. In any event, let's do the Mishnah from the beginning till the end without all this explanation, because now it's clear. Rabotai, when you do the Mishnah from the beginning till the end, you'll see once you already have it, you have it. It takes less than a minute, especially if you're not going to have to say English. From when does one recite the Shema in the evening? משעה שהכהנים נכנסים לאכול בתרומתם, from the time the Kohanim enter to eat their truma, עד סוף השמונה הראשון, until the end of the first watch. These are the words of Rabbi Eliezer. וחכמים אומרים, וחכמים say, עד חצות, until midnight. Rambam Gamliel אומר, עד שיעלה עמוד השחר. Rambam Gamliel says, until dawn. מעשה שבאו בנם מבית המשנה, there was a story of Rabbi Gamliel's children, they came from a wedding feast. אמרו, they said to him, לא קראנו את שמע. Abba, we didn't recite the Shema. אמר להם, he said to them, אם לא עלה עמוד השחר, if dawn hasn't come up yet, חייבים אתם לקרוא, you are obligated to recite Kriya Shema. ולא זו בלבד, continues from Gamliel, and he says, not only this, אלא כל מה שאמרו חכמים עד חצות, anytime, whenever you see, when the Chachamim say that you have a mitzvah that has to be done until midnight, mitzvatan ad she'aleh amud hashachar. The mitzvah is really until dawn. Now we're going to bring the proofs. Hekter chalam ve'evarim. When it comes to the burning of the fats in the limbs, mitzvatan ad she'aleh amud hashachar. The mitzvah is until dawn. V'chol ha'nechal amud yom echad, and everything that you're allowed to eat the whole day, meaning the day and the night after it, mitzvatan ad she'aleh amud hashachar. The mitzvah is until dawn. If so, if what you tell me right now is true, that the mitzvah is really until dawn, lama amru chachamim ad chatzot. Why did chachamim have to tell us specifically by the mitzvah of reciting Shema and by the consecrated meat? Why did chachamim tell us in those two cases ad chatzot, until midnight? Why? Let me have until dawn. So comes the Mishnah and concludes, and it says, kedei larchik et adam min ha'avera, in order to distance a person from sin. And we did see what kind of sin? By kodshim, by consecrated meat. If he eats after dawn, he gets karet. By Shema, he's going to miss it. If he comes home, he'll say, I'll eat a little, I'll drink a little, I'll sleep a little, and then I'm going to go down. Rabotai, sleep grabs a person, and before he knows it, the time of Shema has passed. I want to just share with you something fascinating that mind-boggling. Let me ask you a question. Are the Chachamim making a fence for something which is asur or for something which is mutar? When he says over here, kedei larchik et adam min haver, the Chachamim made a fence in order to distance a person from sin. Correct? But let me ask you a question. When a person wants to go ahead and recite Shema before dawn, is that time in Avera? No. The Avera is when? The Avera is after dawn, not before dawn. So what do they tell you? So let's say if 6 o'clock is dawn, they tell you have to recite it by 12 o'clock. 6, why? Tell me by 5 o'clock. 6 hours. And again, I'm talking about, that's all permissible time. But also by the coaching, by the consecrated meat. If 6 o'clock is dawn, so tell me 3 o'clock stop eating. 4 o'clock stop eating. But because it's permissible. When does it become asur? It becomes asur. It becomes forbidden only after dawn has come up. So the Chacham were afraid that because maybe after dawn you might eat the consecrated meat. Maybe after dawn you might now not have the ability to say Shema. Now you lost the mitzvah of Shema. So the Chacham is saying, even in the permissible time, we're not going to allow you. We're going to tell you go back 6 hours until midnight. Rabotai, this is a very, very big Musar Haskel. A very big eye-opening. Do you know why? Because a lot of us, unfortunately, we live life not when things are mutar, even when things are asur, forbidden on us, we're not afraid. There's no fences. Chachamim made a fence on something which is mutar. Because of the mutar, you could come to the asur. But we, Rabotai, we're not even afraid by the asur. We don't have fences. And worse off, like we'll see another Masech Berachot Avdalad Amur Aleph in the other series of the Gemara Journey with Rashi, when a person says, I'll eat a little, I'll sleep a little, right? I'll drink a little, and before he knows it, Rabotai, Chachamim are teaching us, do not procrastinate. When you say, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, you should know this is the ways of the Yitzhar. He will grab you before you know it. Ask yourself, how many times do you want to get this done, this done, this done? Do you think that you didn't get done what you needed to get done today? You want to do it tomorrow. Do you think tomorrow doesn't bring its own problems? You think the following day doesn't bring its own problems? Every day there's an addition to the previous day. So that's why you have to get things done right away. And anyway, Rabotai, this is a very, very big eye-opening. We do finish with this, the Mishnah, Baruch Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. Everybody should have a good Shabbat. Also, I do want to mention over here, I mentioned in my other classes also, I do want to mention that we do the Mishnayot only from Monday through Thursday. The other 3 days, Rabotai, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you could use them as Chazarot. As I explained in my previous classes, we, Baruch Hashem, thank you, Hashem, so much. We have the zuchut to be able to record with, of course, DJ Avram. He does a lot with all this uploading and whatever. Thank you, Abraham. And we do about 5 classes, we do 5 classes every single day. We have halacha for women. Then we have the Dalal Moshal Halacha, which is on Orach Chaim. Then we have Even HaEzer. Then we have Treasures of Mishnayot. And then we have Gemor Journey with Rashi. So you have 5 classes that are uploaded every single day. Times that by 4 days, 20 classes Bezrat Hashem we try to upload in a week. If you guys want, it's very, very critical to do Chazarot. Go back, review the other 3 days. I just don't want people to say, okay, so if it's not one thing with, listen, if it's a Chumash class, I could understand. If it's a Musar class, I could understand. You listen one time and that's it, you move forward. But when it comes to Mishnayot, when it comes to Gimor, when it comes to Halacha, all these things, even Chumash Abotai, even all these things require Chazara. So Baruch Hashem we'll keep it 4 days, because 20 lectures a week is a lot. We'll keep it 4 days and use the other 3 days wisely. Don't think just because we're not able to post the recording, so therefore you're exempt from learning Torah. No, Rabotai, we're not exempt from learning Torah. Chazarot is very important. Belined, I will try to make a shiur one time of the severe punishment where a person does not do Chazarot. In any event, Rabotai, let's end off with a bracha. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu bless each and every one of you with a good Shabbat. Hashem should bless you with a lot of Hatzlacha. Bracha Parnasa, you should see Nachat from your children. If you're not married, Hashem should Bezrat Hashem send you an Eshet Chayil. Have a great day, guys.